Joseph and his colorful coat. A long time ago, there was a young man named Joseph. He was 17 years old and had 11 brothers. His father, Jacob, loved him very much, more than his other sons. To show his love, Jacob gave Joseph a beautiful, colorful coat. It was not just any coat. It was bright and special, something only important people wore. Joseph's brothers saw the coat and became jealous. "Why does father love him more than us?" they grumbled. "Why does he get a special coat while we get nothing?" But that wasn't the only reason they were upset. Joseph had dreams, strange and powerful dreams. One night, he told his brothers about one of them. "Listen to my dream," Joseph said excitedly. "We were tying bundles of grain in the field and suddenly my bundle stood up while all of yours bowed down to mine." His brothers' faces turned red with anger. "Are you saying you will rule over us?" they snapped. But Joseph had another dream. "I saw the sun, moon, and 11 stars bowing down to me." Even his father was surprised. "Do you think your mother and I will bow down to you too?" Jacob asked. His brothers were furious. They already envied him, but now they hated him even more. A wicked plan. One day, Joseph's brothers were far away, taking care of their father's sheep. Jacob sent Joseph to check on them. As Joseph walked toward them in his bright coat, the brothers saw him coming. "Look! Here comes the dreamer!" one of them sneered. "Let's get rid of him!" The brothers grabbed Joseph and tore off his colorful coat. They threw him into a deep, dark pit. Joseph cried out, but they ignored him. Just then they saw a group of traders passing by with camels, heading to Egypt. One brother, Judah, had an idea. "Instead of leaving him in the pit, let's sell him. We'll make some money, and he'll be gone forever." So they pulled Joseph out and sold him to the traders for 20 pieces of silver. Joseph goes to Egypt. The traders took Joseph far away to Egypt, where he would become a slave. Meanwhile, his brothers took his colorful coat, dipped it in goat's blood, and brought it to their father. "Father, we found this coat. Does it belong to Joseph?" they asked, pretending to be sad. Jacob gasped. "A wild animal must have killed him," he cried. He wept bitterly for his son, thinking he was gone forever. But Joseph was still alive. His journey was not over. Even though his brothers had betrayed him, God had a greater plan for his life. Joseph in Egypt. Joseph was taken to Egypt, where the traders sold him as a slave to a man named Potiphar, an important official who worked for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Even though Joseph was far from home and had nothing, God was with him. Joseph worked hard and was honest, so Potiphar trusted him. Soon, Joseph was put in charge of everything in Potiphar's house. But one day, Potiphar's wife lied about Joseph and got him thrown into prison, even though he had done nothing wrong. Even in prison, God was still with Joseph. The prison guards saw that Joseph was wise and responsible, so he put Joseph in charge of the other prisoners. Joseph interprets dreams one day. 2 of Pharaoh's servants, the cupbearer and the baker, were thrown into prison. They both had strange dreams and didn't know what they meant. Joseph said, "God can help me explain your dreams." The cupbearer told Joseph his dream first. Joseph listened and said, "Your dream means you will be free in 3 days and return to Pharaoh's palace." The baker told Joseph his dream next, but Joseph's face became sad. "Your dream means that in 3 days, Pharaoh will punish you." 3 days later, everything happened just as Joseph said. The cupbearer was freed, but the baker was punished. Joseph told the cupbearer, "Please remember me when you go back to Pharaoh." But the cupbearer forgot about Joseph. Pharaoh's dreams. 2 years later, Pharaoh had 2 strange dreams. No one in Egypt could explain them. That's when the cupbearer finally remembered Joseph. Pharaoh called for Joseph and said, "I heard you can understand dreams." Joseph replied, "I cannot, but God can." Pharaoh explained his dreams. Joseph listened carefully and then said, Your dreams mean that Egypt will have 7 years of good harvests, but after that, there will be 7 years of terrible famine. You must store food now so the people won't starve later." Pharaoh was amazed. He saw that God was with Joseph and made him the second most powerful man in Egypt, right under Pharaoh himself. Joseph now wore royal robes, and everyone listened to him. Joseph's brothers. Come to Egypt. The famine spread everywhere, even to Joseph's home, where his father and brothers lived. They had no food, so the brothers traveled to Egypt to buy grain. When they arrived, they did not recognize Joseph, but Joseph recognized them. Instead of telling them who he was, Joseph decided to test them. He wanted to see if they had changed. Joseph accused them of being spies and asked about their family. The brothers told him about their youngest brother, Benjamin, who had stayed home with their father. Joseph told them, "If you want more food, you must bring your youngest brother next time." The brothers returned home and told their father, Jacob. He didn't want to let Benjamin go, but the famine was so bad that he had no choice. When the brothers came back with Benjamin, Joseph invited them to a great feast. Then he gave them grain to take home, but secretly put his silver cup in Benjamin's sack. As they left, Joseph's men stopped them and said, "Someone has stolen my master's cup." The brothers were shocked. They opened their sacks, and there was Joseph's silver cup in Benjamin's bag. Joseph reveals himself. The brothers begged Joseph not to punish Benjamin. Judah even offered to take Benjamin's place. Joseph saw that his brothers had changed. They were no longer cruel and selfish like before. Tears filled Joseph's eyes. He sent his servants away and finally said, "I am Joseph, your brother." His brothers were shocked and afraid. They remembered how they had sold him as a slave. But Joseph smiled and said, "Do not be afraid. You meant to harm me, but God used it for good. He sent me here so I could save many lives." Joseph hugged his brothers and forgave them. Then he told them to bring their father, Jacob, and the whole family to Egypt. When Jacob arrived, he cried tears of joy to see his son alive. Pharaoh gave Joseph's family the best land in Egypt, and they lived there happily for many years.